Hi, my name is Erin Stewart. I'm the founder of Scenic West Design. Today I'm going to walk you through my first impressions of the onboarding flow for Granola AI, a AI note-taking tool. This one caught my attention because it has a desktop app for Mac and does not require an AI tool to like join the meeting where, anytime you're in like a Zoom call and it's like somebody's note taker joins before them, it's super awkward. But looking for something that's a good fallback for when we don't have a meeting set up for ourselves. We're joining like a client's like Teams or Zoom account, just a fallback recording option for transcripts for conversations. So let me dive in. So first impressions of their site, I came across this researching AI note-taking tools in general. We have a client that's in the AI note-taking space for a specific industry niche, and that kind of just sparked the idea of, okay, well, what else is out there? What are the trends and best practices for UX, of course. And this one happened to meet a problem or pain point that I was having personally for our agency. So they have, notes and transcript, AI enhanced. You can record the transcript. I like the idea in theory that I can take like my notes and have that influence the total output, because a lot of times there's like 3 things I'll write down for a meeting, and I do want a summary of what happened that would come out of the transcript, but in case I need like share it with a team member that's going to work on the project. But a lot of times, like I don't really want everything from the call, so that ability to kind of do that mix is intriguing. So I'm curious to see the output. Trusted by individuals at name brand companies, how it works, walks me through that. Works on all platforms, no meeting bots. Again, that's what hooked me here. And then also interested in the idea that there's customizable templates, some of which kind of lean towards obviously like the world that we work in. But what I would be curious to see is, can I create templates that are like, so anytime I have a sales intro call, I want a certain output. Anytime I have a kickoff call with a client, I want a certain output, or things like that. Would be really cool, actually. It would take a little bit to set that up, but so I'd want immediate value before that, but would be interested there. For your meetings to work, ask questions, sure, that makes sense. Share notes, and then testimonials. Okay, so, and I liked in their onboarding flow the idea that I just downloaded the app, and that there was no pricing barriers. So let's jump into onboarding within the desktop app. So I have to click agree before this enables. This pops, okay, you should be able to see this here. So I'm clicking into my work email. Okay, so this one has a little friction in that I'm giving it access to maybe more things than a default sign-in, but it makes sense. I'm trying to make it work with my meetings. That gives me a little pause, like that friction there. Suddenly I'm like, oh, well, is it going to start showing up in my like invites or meetings? I really don't want that, but we'll trust that they're delivering on what they offer. Hit open. So now I'm signing in, and let's see. First, allow Granola to transcribe your meetings. Enable microphone. Okay, so this is just walking me through security access. That makes sense. These CTAs maybe could have been a little bit more enticing to click on, or just, I don't know, this felt like could have been delivered better in terms of like UI, UX, but no real issues. Okay, best match or daily work, interesting. Investing, recruiting, startup, generalist, customer facing. So this one's interesting to me because they're kind of vague. Like, I understand they're trying to do something intentionally here. It's interesting they're leading with this one. So I'm curious what their market share or like customer base looks like. But so it seems like finance or investment management, HR, recruiting, and then generally like sales, customer support, and then like the tech industry, I guess. I'm gonna click this. I feel like that's probably closest to like the personalization I'd want, but none of those feel great. And then it says get started, so try a demo meeting. So this is an interesting one where I really like this in AI note-taking tools. Not a lot of people do this like perfectly, but this idea of like, well, I'm about to have a meeting and that's part of why I'm setting this up. But I want to give it a test beforehand, right? So I'm going to hit try meeting. Okay, it pops up like a giant screen.
Hey, my name's Sam, and in the next 2 minutes, I'm going to show you how to use Granola to transcribe your meetings and turn your short, scrappy notes into something much more beautiful and useful. This is Granola on the right. It looks and behaves a lot like a regular text editor, but it does a few extra clever things, which I want to show you now. At the bottom of your screen, you should see some green dancing bars. Click those green dancing bars now. In there, you should see my voice coming in. This is the transcript, and it runs in real time anytime you're having a meeting with Granola. Okay, you can close the transcript, and now I want you to try taking 1 or 2 lines of notes in the notepad. Just write something short, like Granola AI, for example. So the way to think about the notepad is that Granola is transcribing in the background anyway, so you can relax about writing every little detail. Instead, just write the things that really matter to you, or things that are in your head that wouldn't have made it into the transcript. At the end of the meeting, Granola will take any notes you write as guidance.
Okay, so I'm going to pause this for a second until the video is over. Okay, so picking back up where I left off in the recording, so I went through the video, so they had like a 4-minute video. It took me a second to find the playback speed option, so I was able to speed it up, which was nice. The second half of the video kind of walked me through a couple of features or things I'd want to try that's sort of more advanced. What I liked about what they did was like a minute or 2 into the video, they kind of basically say like, if you're good, you can leave from here, but I'm going to go show you some bonus things next. So it's like a reason to stay, but it's a, hey, you kind of have what you need at this point, which is cool. You basically, at the end of it, if I left notes, so like these were ones I wrote versus these are ones that were auto-generated. Still getting a feel for like what it looks like for your notes to be pulled in, but it seems like they bold anything that you wrote, and then like these were what I wrote, but they maybe cleaned it up, I guess, formatting wise, or added a word or 2. And then anything in this gray looks like it was AI generated. And basically at the end you hit like stop and enhance video or enhance note if you're done. It also looks like when you're done with a meeting in Zoom, because I ran through a few of my regular meetings this morning before finishing this recording, and that seemed to work well. Again, haven't like used the notes where I know like, oh, okay, this template or this format does this for my workflow, but the idea that if I just did 3 or 4 back-to-back 30-minute meetings, and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do this afternoon in between my other calls from those? That's great. One thing I'd be looking for in this type of product is like, where can I manage a action item list that's across meetings? Or even like for me as an agency owner, starting to know like cross client. So like if over the course of a month, I've had 6 or 7 meetings with the same client, like that folder. And I think I said the word folder because as I was saying this out loud, I think that there are folder options. So I assume there's some context. I would also be looking for, can I add knowledge? So can I build out some level of knowledge base or connect elsewhere so that my meeting notes have context of even just the way my agency approaches certain types of things, or like a certain type of call means these things should be happening and these things should be happening next in our typical project processes. Could be interesting. All features I would expect like over time it could be added, but that also gets very niche into agency needs, so maybe beyond kind of what their focus is. It looks like I can ask questions. There's a few that are suggested, so let me try one of those. In one of my other meeting notes from a real conversation, there were action items at the end that were pretty thorough, not in like a checklist option or not in like a add it to a task list way, which I kind of would like, but I don't know that this needs to be my like to-do list necessarily. So just the idea that I don't have to worry about if somebody else ends the meeting capturing the notes I would want. And a lot of times I don't need the notes, but it's just good record keeping. Also, as I'm thinking about for my agency, building our knowledge bases for things and how do you silo stuff for clients and protect people's information, but still benefit from moving faster or going more in depth or like producing better quality work by leveraging AI. Those are all things that are kind of on my mind. So having a way that our team can always capture notes on our end and perhaps giving them specific templates and structures that we're going to use through this tool was really interesting to me. And then that would ultimately probably feed or hook into a knowledge base, or like even just maybe into Notion that can hook into like a quad project or Notebook LM or something like that. But those are all kind of pieces of the puzzle I'm still thinking through myself. But from a UX standpoint, just to kind of tie it back to onboarding best practices, I thought this one was really good overall. It had the demo option towards the top. One thing, it seemed like after I ran that note, it went away. I kind of wish it had stayed or moved. Okay, I see it here now. Okay, so having this just sort of stand out where if I was looking for that again for some reason that it's there. but that's easy to find. So I thought that was good. There was a bigger, like coming up, that was the one that was sticky at the top until I finished it. Overall, like, looked good. And then so I ran through my meetings and had those notes. It looks like I can connect my notes to apps, so that would be, I like that they have this here, it's not blocking. I also maybe would have liked more framing of folders. I might not have stayed for the video long enough to get that, but I'm imagining that's where I would be solving my like siloing information. But I would also want to, if I were to roll this out to my team, I would need to look into like privacy and considerations so I could inform them of like, hey, best practices, do not use this tool for specific use cases or specific clients, depending on their policies. If you are using the tool, be conscious of these things. And like, there's just some coaching and also being transparent with our clients that we have to navigate. This looks like I've got integrations for Slack, HubSpot, Notion, Zapier, Affinity I'm not familiar with, but these three we use for our team already. I even mentioned Notion. So that's really interesting. And then if I could augment the way we maintain client project knowledge-based stuff in Notion by complementing it with this, and that all feeds in automatically, I think that could be really interesting. Also, would always be curious to tie it into Slack, and then for like sales and account management, HubSpot. So overall, really interested in this product to start, and I thought they had a very smooth onboarding experience. I do have the question, of course, of when are they going to make me pay for it? But at this point, I already used it for several meetings and I'm interested. The free trial is very subtle and out of my way. I see free trial. It looks like they're running it for your first 25 meetings. So basically, for me, that's probably a week, maybe two, but I think that's nice because you really wouldn't see the value of it until you've used it for multiple meetings. And that's, to me, a very generous amount. So it's like, if it's going to stick within that, this would be a no-brainer. So easy upsell and so on. $18 a month, I think, is fine. This gets into where, like, how much does it cost to roll out to a team? We're not a huge team, but, if you're starting to talk about 14 per user times, say, 10 users on average, $140 a month, if you've got that and, like, 20 other tools that cost the same, like, that adds up very quickly. But, and we're also already paying, obviously, for, like, a Zoom workplace, Google apps, things like that. So, in some ways, this functionality, I think if you were being cost conscious, you'd say, well, do I get enough of this by using the AI features that tools I already have to pay for offer, or is this really enough to be extra? So for me, it's like, is it enough for me as a business owner to pay $18 a month? Definitely. Is it enough for me to want my whole team to use it when most of our needs are covered by recordings already happening somewhere else, and then I can just have the team run a workflow where they are, adding certain things to Notion or making sure that some knowledge is being captured. And like I said before, like, we don't always need the recordings. It's just about, in a world of AI, if you want to run a transcript through something to get generate ideas or things like that, it's just having the data or information. So overall, thought that Granola AI is a great onboarding experience and product, and showed some good examples of introducing an AI tool with their demo meeting. I thought that was really slick and solved some of the problems of showing value before somebody actually runs it in a meeting that maybe matters because it's stakeholders, customers, things like that. You just don't want a weird experience, because a lot of the AI note-taking tools that add themselves to Zoom and people are surprised they're there and things like that, like, it's a really weird customer experience. So as an agency owner, protective of that, and we do not add any tools like that by default to meetings, but we do use Zoom AI Companion and meeting recording in that setup.